Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. This is episode 407. We've got a fabulous guest. We've got Violette with us. I probably butchered her name, but I'm notorious for that anyway. I'm going to let her introduce herself. I've also got my new co-host, Adrian, with us, and he's going to be my full-time co-host in July. And we're really looking forward to this discussion. Violette, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Sure. I am Violette Ayala. I'm the founder and CEO of FemCity, and I'm very happy to be here.
And Adrian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Adrian. I am the CEO and founder of Groundhog Marketing Automation for WordPress, and I'm also happy to be here.
Okay, that's great. See, Violette, well, the reason why I thought it was great to ask you to come on the show, because we specialize in e-learning and membership sites and building online businesses through membership. And I've been watching you for a while and what you've been doing with FemCity, and I didn't want to get somebody that was too big, a real big personality, but I wanted to get somebody that's got success, but still to some extent in the trenches, because this phrase about building community is knocked around quite a lot. But I wanted to talk to somebody that's actually has built a community, a physical and then online community, and what it really does require to do that. So can you first of all tell us something about FemCity and why you started the business?
Sure. So FemCity is actually on a mission to help women across the world launch and grow a business. And we started in 2009. And honestly, when I first started FemCity, I really was doing it for my own personal gain. I wanted to kind of have a safe place to meet with women entrepreneurs that were growing and launching businesses, kind of like a pseudo hybrid of not only networking, but also using it as a focus group and a kind of a community of support as well. Because I have been an entrepreneur since the age of 22. I know it takes a lot of grit to kind of continue on the path of being an entrepreneur, but it also requires a really good circle of influence. So those people that are around you that can not only inspire, but introduce you to people that would help your business grow. And that's really how we started FemCity. When we started doing the local gatherings in Miami, we started getting a lot more women because we were posting pictures on Facebook. We were getting women across the country asking for a FemCity chapter in their backyard. And at first I had no idea what they were talking about, really. Like, if I'm going to be honest and like straightforward, like I didn't understand why they were requesting it, because clearly we were just gathering, and anyone can do that. Anyone can kind of pick a couple of friends and gather together. But I think what they saw was more profound than when I initially thought of FemCity. They were seeing a very beautiful, diverse group of women coming together of all age brackets, color of skin, nationalities, backgrounds, and just coming together really for the intention of helping one another out in business. And so after the fourth or fifth time someone asking me for a FemCity chapter, I thought to myself, you know what, maybe this is a kind of like a higher calling. Like maybe this is something that I need to move forward in. And I started kind of putting that together. And I had learned from owning I had a Pilates studio for about 10 years. And when I went to franchise that, I had made quite a few mistakes because I launched it as a hobby business. And so when I went to franchise it, there were two different mindsets and two different processes and operations. And I always told myself if I ever was going to launch a business, it would live beyond myself again. Like I wouldn't ever make that same mistake of branding a business around me, but I would make it so that it could actually serve the world and live beyond with what I was capable of as just one person. And so I launched FemCity Fort Lauderdale. That did really well. But then I thought, well, it probably did well because it's so close to Miami. It was kind of like an overflow. So that's not really a good testing ground to see if this is actually something that the world needed. And then we went ahead and I posted something on LinkedIn. Someone responded. We had no website, no membership, no business model, nothing. Like just nothing. And she went ahead and launched FemCity Philadelphia. And that did really well. So that was a community that I had not even visited. I had no connection there. And that's when I knew that calling, that kind of sounds kind of hokey pokey, but that calling that I felt really propelled me into launching more and more cities. And we've evolved, so when we started, it was just the lunches. It was just this kind of very simple format. We've definitely have evolved into not only being there as a local support for women, but also then teaching them classes. So we have an online series of classes that we just offer on every topic, whether to how to generate more followers on Instagram, how to generate revenue on Pinterest, how to even get started in business. So what are the fundamentals of even launching a business? So really all we do all day long is try to create classes and community so that we can really fully support women that are taking those steps, which are really scary, and launching a business.
That's great. Over to you, Adrian.
That's brilliant. I've actually, I got the email that you were coming on, and I couldn't help but think that I've heard of it. Have you ever been involved in the Infusionsoft community at all as a business?
I don't think
Just
so.
for my own personal curiosity.
Yeah, I think I may have done a partnership with them in an article writing or something. I don't know. I don't remember, but yeah.
All right, I was just curious. But you had mentioned, so did you actually started your the actual on the ground in person kind of portion of the business first before you went into online? Is that correct?
Absolutely. So the reason why we went online, it's actually an interesting story, is that we had a lot of little communities all around the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And one of our members was working with Google at the time. And they reached out to us and said, hey, we have this new platform called Google Hangouts. We'd love to teach women how to use this for business and how to create also Google circles. And so that's how it started, actually. We started having Google teach these classes for our members. Wow. And the feedback was so amazing, because they were like, this is what I need. But I need this not only for Google, I need this also for, like, how do you start an Instagram account? How do you go ahead and create a cover for my YouTube channel? How do I even do like an IG story? So it really, that Google partnership that we had years ago was really like the leverage into getting more into that digital online classes, where we have experts come in and teach classes, because we know when you start a business, a lot of us don't have billions of dollars, right? We have like 2 pennies to rub together, or we have like a full-time gig, and we really have this dream of launching this business, but we don't have the backing, we don't have the resources, we didn't work for Goldman Sachs, we don't have millions, like we don't have daddy writing a check for us. So how do you do that? And that Google partnership was really what made a really big shift for us.
So when you were actually making that shift, was it easier or was it difficult to move your membership from on the ground in their smaller communities? How did you sell the online membership portion of this, which was kind of like the next phase of your business? How did you sell that into bringing and onboarding them from the ground into your paid programs and all of that?
So actually, it was added benefit to the membership already. So what we did is we started adding more and more, and we just kind of started to bring that in. And we always felt like, how much more can we give? What more can we do to serve women across the world? And so that's our mindset and our thinking process. And so when we do that, we really just bring it in as part of the membership. We do have a couple, like I do these round tables, and they're extra. They're like $75, if you want to join. But for the most part, everything is included in the membership. So they pay and they have access to all of these, features. Some women really just love the local, kind of getting together. Human to human connectivity is such a luxury these days. So that might be a reason why someone joins. Or someone may have listened to our podcast and said, you know what, I really like their vibe, and let me check it out. And then they'll see that we have the classes, and then they might join because of just the classes alone. So that's really how we kind of incorporated it. It wasn't one or the other. We kind of just brought it in and kind of beefed up our membership benefits.
Awesome. Back to you, Jonathan.
So, are you still finding that most of the people join because they get referred to you to the kind of physical chapters, or are you getting more people actually signing up because they found you on the internet?
We're finding still that we're getting more women joining because of the local communities. And I think it's because of our viral, organic kind of grassroots marketing, where women are posting pictures of our gatherings. Maybe they've attended as a guest, and or they've joined and now they're part of that community. So they'll post it and tag it. And then other women are seeing that and kind of intrigued, so they'll look at it and kind of look around, and then go over to our website, and then they'll realize, oh, they have 125 or 130 locations. Or sometimes we even get women that launch a chapter because of a photo that they've seen. So I feel like that is still the strongest. And again, I go back to that human connectivity is so important in business. We kind of more nowadays lean towards that digital place. But at the end of the day, people still do business with people they like and people that kind of feel like they do or kind of sound like they do. Like there's something about other humans that we connect with that makes us feel like, oh yeah, I can have a business relationship or I can get inspired because this person kind of has a story that's similar to mine. And so it makes it more family feeling.
All right, thanks. Over to you, Adrian.
I think one of the holy grails for especially online businesses and businesses with memberships, or for example, I'm a plugin developer for WordPress, and one of the holy grails of kind of like seeing your success grow is building a community that surrounds of what your product, whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and creating people or an environment where it's not necessarily just the business helping the people, but it's customers of the business helping customers of the business. So I would love it if you could share with us, especially before you were on the internet, what was your strategy for, before we had sharing on Instagram or Facebook or before any of that, what was your strategy for just going out and how did members actually go and find you and become part of that community?
So excellent question. So in 2009, when we had our first FemCity gathering, I really, the first one that we had only had 20 women. And that was more me handpicking women that I felt would really benefit from this. Then those 20 women shared it with other women. And by the way, I think our first event was awful. So like I'm sharing that because sometimes we launch something and we go, well, that didn't go over so well. That didn't turn out like perfect. So it was awful. It was boring. But those women found value in it somehow and then shared it verbally, right? The word of mouth is still so important, so powerful. And then it grew to like 60 women and it continued to grow. I think back then, all we really had was like the Miami Herald. And we would put like a little blurb in the community calendar, which is free. Anyone can do that. It's still very strong way to promote any events that you have going on. We used Eventbrite also. Eventbrite was just getting started. And that was a tool that even though they didn't have the robust SEO that they do now and the community, it did definitely help us get into the vision of other people that were kind of searching to see what events were going on in networking. And really Facebook. My son had actually gotten us on Facebook. Facebook was brand new, for me at least. And really that really did help. Just adding those pictures really helped to capture the feel of FemCity, and that really helped to get people more talking about us. And then it just kind of started spiraling in growth after that.
Brilliant. Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm fascinated you say that because I was thinking back when you said it was the initial one you thought was a little bit boring. Because until I got into the world of building membership and learning management systems for my clients, I used to get most of my clientele locally in Northern Nevada. And I used to go to a lot of local networking events. And the majority of them were pretty boring. Really quite awful, actually. How did you, after that first event, did you consciously think about branding and culture? Or did it just gradually appear a kind of individual culture for your business?
I hated networking too, by the way. I used to work for, when I started launching or started doing FemCity, I was working as a PR marketing manager for the spa and fitness club here in the Four Seasons. And so the company paid for me to go to all the networking events, the la-di-da, the $500 of tickets, the $200, I mean, whatever, I could go. And I felt the same way. They were always so cold and detached, and they might be fabulous. Like the drinks might've been fantastic and the drop and the red carpet and, but I always felt like there was something missing. It just felt so cold and calculated and then also spammy. So you always have those people that were like throwing out their business cards or like just, assaulting you with their marketing, conversations. So I always felt like that too. So I can appreciate that. When I did the first FemCity event, I made sure to incorporate just more of that calmness and more of a vibe of just connectivity. The second time I did it, because the first one I thought was really boring, the second time I did it, I added like components that I really felt like I would have wanted as someone who was attending. So I would have wanted the platform to share what I do. Among 60 women, I'd love to stand up and kind of just give a shout out to my firm. And I'd also like to hear a speaker, but someone who's real and on the ground, not someone who's been sponsored, right? Someone who's going to sell me all these call to actions. I wanted someone to really share amazing content that's going to help people move up in their business. And so that's how it started. Actually, the second event that we did, I actually added too much. So I added 2 speakers and then this commercial component. And then we had 60 women. So then that was a little bit of a nightmare too. I don't think it was perfect. But as the months continued to go by, I kind of perfected it. And I'm a huge advocate in listening to those that you serve, asking them the questions. Because when you approach your potential client or your client and you say, I don't feel that it was perfect enough, tell me what we can do better. How would it feel better for you? And little by little, we started adding more gratitude components. And I think that FemCity has the vibe it has because we have it part of our format where we not only share gratitude about ourselves, like some sort of goal that we achieved or some client that we finally got, but we also close it out with a gratitude shout out for any woman in the world. Because I think those are 2 pieces that are missing in our world. The moment where you have that you can pat yourself on the back and say, you know what? I'm exhausted, I'm tired, but I did an awesome job this week. I nailed that project or that presentation. And then also that verbal gratitude for somebody else. I think society's missing that, where we just stop and say, you did an amazing job, or you really helped me get that client, and I'm just so grateful to you. So we started embedding that in that business model, which has never been done, right? It's very rare for that. But I think that's what makes FemCity so different, is that we just honor others. And it becomes habit. And then now we feel more comfortable to say kindness to ourselves and then kindness for others outside of just a FemCity gathering.
Oh, that's great. We're going to go for our break, folks. We'll be back learning some more about Violette and how she managed to build her successful business, FemCity. We'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. We've had a good chat. I think we'll be delving into some important things. Over to you, Adrian.
So I clicked on the locations page on your website, and I'm literally looking at dozens upon dozens of locations, which is just incredibly impressive for anybody, who's looking at trying to build their own community at the moment. Going to that size rather, what kind of growing pains did you experience that other community builders might be experiencing right now?
Oh my gosh, so many. So in every business that you have, actually we had a meeting today in Miami and we talked about this. So I think anytime you're looking to scale outside of yourself, there are more challenges. And I think also when you up level, so I'm trying to share my knowledge so it can pertain to everybody. I think sometimes when we get to a certain point in our growth, we kind of breathe a little bit, and then all of a sudden our sight is set on something a little bit higher, which is a natural tendency for humans, right? We accomplish something, especially those that have grit, especially those that have that hustle vibe, then it's constantly going up this ladder towards this really ultimate dream that we have. So every bracket always includes, and I wish someone told me this, every bracket has its own set of challenges, whether it's how do you get the funding to do more hires? How do you deal with slow generating revenue months? How do you change your process? So, we've intentionally paused our growth to make sure that we were sturdy enough in the foundation in order to go ahead and add another 100 locations. And we just kind of got out of that intentional pause a couple months ago. So now we're preparing for a really busy fall season where we'll maybe try to get to 300 locations. But I think that if someone had told me that at the beginning, I would have felt more normal. I felt like I was alone in that. I felt like when I was intentionally pausing, people that weren't seasoned in entrepreneurship or seasoned in growing a community thought that was stupid, right? Like, why would you do that? You should be growing as fast as you can. You should be taking all the money you can get. But I never wanted it to be something that failed because we grew too fast or that we weren't prepared for the growth. And talking about website and kind of all these membership, features that we have online, we needed to make sure that that was really sound and sturdy so that we can now say, okay, you know what, we're ready for the next batch of growth, which would be, 100 or 200 locations, or maybe now, we're looking at launching in Europe. What's that going to look like? So, I think there's always been challenges, just like every business, funding, we didn't get billions of dollars funding, surprise. We didn't, I made mistakes. I had created businesses in the past, but the businesses were never globally scalable. So I may have had 1 or 2 locations, maybe some satellite locations, that, you know, having it so that how do you have a brand that has that same vibe and energy around the world, that had some more stuff to it. And also, you know, as technology gets better and better, how do you streamline your process so that you can spend more energy in the marketing, PR, development side and not so much bogged down on the more administrative or the nuts and bolts of the behind the scenes kind of stuff. So it's like a little song and dance, but it's a balance, and you just have to feel out where you're at, where you want to go, and then are you ready for that? And then the challenges will come. They will always come.
You know,
Always.
I think that what you mentioned about you taking a pause after you reach a certain milestone, and then, you know, coasting a little bit, planning out your next step, and taking that break. You know, as I try and build out my own community, that's something that I'm probably going to heed a little bit, because I think that's brilliant. Taking that pause is words of wisdom right there. Back to you, Jonathan.
Oh, thanks, Violette. But I've noticed, and I don't know if you're going to agree with this, that businesses that have 2 elements, like you've got your community, physical community base, and then you've got your online. I find with a lot of businesses that have those 2 elements, that one is great and the other is slightly forgotten, slightly not, doesn't compare with the other one. So either they've really got a really great online presence and some of the attention to the actual physical meetings declines, or it's the other way around. Would you agree with that? And how have you dealt with that? Or do you feel that you're dealing with that?
I think the blessing for us was that we were able to stabilize the local market first. That format, that structure, that feel, we were able to get that really solid. And I think you're right. I think a lot of businesses add services, right? Because one person asks for a certain service and they're like, oh, that's great. We're going to go ahead and just create that. And that's now in our shopping cart, or, you know, our e-commerce. But I think then all of a sudden it starts watering down all the other things because they're spreading themselves too thin all over the place. And I think when we start thinking about whether it's adding on a new project or a new service or a new platform, whatever it is, you need to make sure that your butter, right, the one that's actually the foundation of your organization, is solid, and that you have it like clockwork, because then you can really focus in on having the same expectation on the other services that you're adding, because that would hurt you so much if you had one that was a little wonky, and then you were like, oh, let me add another one. And then that's kind of a little wonky too, because you're kind of still thinking about the first one. And then now all of a sudden you're adding like 3. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing that. Yeah. And the reality is if you can, whether it's even 50 businesses that you're launching or 2 projects or whatever, as you add on the secondary and the third and the fourth, you really need to make sure that that first one that's bringing in the money, that's the one that's providing for you, that's solid. Is it really solid? Can you delegate? Is it so locked in with the process that it doesn't have any hiccups anymore? It's just like, it's so smooth that you can now take your attention on something else and then work on that until it's at the same caliber. And then you can add the other ones. I think a lot of entrepreneurs just like, you know, we're spirit entrepreneurs, right? We're passionate about so many things. So then all of a sudden, and then we're exhausted, and then all of a sudden the stress sets in, and then our clarity goes down because we're so like overwhelmed that if we just focus on the one and get that, we do have then the energy and the ability to then launch the other ones so that they're at the same level.
Oh, thanks for that. I think that's fantastic. Over to you, Adrian.
So one of the things that we do enjoy doing is understanding how the actual onboarding process works with various companies, the marketing aspect of it, with you, if you will. So as a community-based product, what would typically be your typical customer journey as it was, to the point where they hear about you, to the point where you actually generate revenue?
Are you talking about our leaders or our members?
Let's just talk about most people. I don't believe will be at the point where they have leaders, although that'd be awesome. But let's talk about a member.
Okay, so and the member, I want to share with you where we were and where we are now, because I think that's a really important place also, so that people can see how we've evolved. When back in the day, we had a website, it didn't have the functionality that it does now, and people used to have to mail in checks. They used to have to like print up an application.
Oh my goodness.
Mail in a check. Yes. So
we're talking old
10 years
here.
ago. I know, like A pen, a paper, what? Yeah, so that's where we were. And now what we've done is we've taken the all of the technology that we have now available to us, and we've streamlined it so that the experience of having someone come in as a new member has everything they need. So in essence, they come in, they join. We have a 30-day free trial, which is, I think, an important thing to have, because some people will feel like it's a family for them. Some people may not be ready. Some people may be like, I have these 2 full-time gigs already. I have 6 kids. I have my parents. I'm taking care of them. So this is not for me right now. But if you give them that 30-day trial period, that's a great way for them to go ahead and test your membership base. And then what we do is we do a series of emails that go out to them to give them almost homework, almost like steps. So here are the things that you can do, because there's so many benefits. So we broke it down into steps. Here's one place. Here's how to get started. Here's what you're going to do today. 2 days later, they get another email. Here's another batch of really great resources for you. A couple of days later. So they have the information in like bite-sized pieces. We also then, when they join, it reverts back to a page that we've created just for them. And it has it all very simple. People like very simple things now, very small characters. And it has literally boxes that they can choose if they want to go ahead and take a class, if they want to propose a class, if they want to attend a local event, if they want to meet someone. So we have it all broken down very simple. And we actually have that page come back again. So when they log out and they come back to maybe register for an event, it brings it up again. So they have the resources there. And then we also have a plugin with Zendesk. Zendesk has the ability to ask questions 24/7, and also a really very expansive FAQ that has a search tool so that they're able to kind of search for what they need. We realize that people are busier than ever. People don't have time to read through pages and pages of information. And how do we give it to them in a very small, concise little way so that they have it there for when they need it? And everyone's at different points, right? Everyone's at different growth patterns. Some people are really just looking for local. Some people are looking for the classes. Some people are just looking just to join something, to be a part of something community-based. So everyone's got their own reasons. Is that how do you give them what they need, but providing it to them in ways that they will resonate with it?
I think it's, yeah, absolutely. I think it's like super important that as soon as you onboard, you don't just leave it up to them to figure out how they're going to get value. You need to tell them how they're going to get the value that you offer. If you leave it up to them, they'll never find it.
No.
So I think a lot of membership communities sometimes suffer from that. They're like, well, the content's there. Why aren't they enjoying it? You need to tell them where they need to go in order to be able to do that.
Right.
So
and like tell them like 10 times too. Like you sometimes we send an email. We're like, well, we sent them an email we have a masterclass series. It's free for them. And it's like amazing experts, but we have to send it like 3 or 4 times. We have to post it on Instagram. Right, exactly. It's like, maybe that day they just were reading the article and not the class. So you have to really kind of be of service to them and say, how am I going to really make sure they have this, because it's important for them to know it. You have to be the engager. They're already overwhelmed with content. Just hopping on Instagram during carpool, you know what I mean? Like you're inundated with like so much that how do you make sure that you're of service to them? And it's really by catering it to them, like in a little kind of beautiful little package.
Brilliant. Back to you, Jonathan.
We're coming to the end of the podcast part of the show. Violette's been really nice to us and has agreed to stay on and answer some more questions, which you'll be able to see the whole interview with the bonus content on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. That we post our interviews and our discussions on the YouTube channel first. Violette, how can people find out more about you, what you're up to, and more about FemCity?
Sure. You can visit FemCity.com and you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Violette Ayala. And I post a lot of Instagram stories there, and I'm always sharing tips on how to grow business. So it's kind of a blend. It's a blend of lifestyle and, of course, business as well. I want everyone to do well in business. That's
great. And Adrian, how can people find out more about you and your business?
So you can reach out to me at Groundhog WP on both Facebook and Twitter. Groundhog, by the way, is spelled with 2 G's at the end, so we can trademark it. You can also go to groundhog with 2Gs.io to find out more about our plugins for WordPress, our marketing automation, our email marketing, and how we can help small business grow.
That's great. We'll see you next week where we have another great online entrepreneur, business owner, prepared to share their knowledge with you, beloved listeners and viewers. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye. So, so when it comes to the online element, how do you see the education element growing? Do you see that as a grown part of your business, providing online education resources? And what don't you like that you're doing at the present moment that you would like to improve, if you think that's a part of your business that you want to invest a lot of time in?
I think the part that I want to invest more time in is definitely, and I just started doing it the last couple of weeks because I have now the luxury of more time, is spending more time doing PR and marketing and the partnerships. That I think is really, if I want to be around the world, I want to go ahead and kind of help 1 million women plus, I need to start really focusing more on that. And I love that part. I really do. I sometimes get a little bogged down in the back end stuff to make things more efficient, more productive, better user experience. I think I've just spent a whole bunch of time on that. So now I'm able to kind of move forward and really start working on the next level that I want to reach. That's where I'm going to be spending my time in. And as for the online classes, our demographic is about 35 to 50 years old. 50% of them. And then the other 25 are above 50, and then the other are around the early 20 mark. So we see a pattern of women coming to us either after college, where they don't want to work for somebody else, they want to do their own thing. We get, the majority of them are women that have been in business for quite some time. Maybe the brick and mortar store isn't working so much anymore. They've lost their were raising kids and didn't realize that social media was so important, Instagram was so important, whatever. So I think the classes really do help those age brackets, and even those that are over 60. So we do get a lot of women that were perhaps wealth management advisors, or they were realtors, or they helped their husband's law firm, grow and develop. And now the kids are gone and they really want to now take another path. They want to launch a new business. So we have so many different age brackets that I think that the online classes, every time we bring one to the table, it's because someone's requested it. Where even like the other day I was talking to someone and they mentioned two things, and one mentioned, how do you create an online class? So that's brilliant. That's a great class. Like, how do you create an online course? What's that format? What platforms are there? Teachable, Thinkific, Udemy. Like, what are those? Like, how do you even set that up? So we're adding more and more to our list of classes, because as we start growing into more and more communities, the questions keep coming in and there's always something new every day. I mean, that Teachable, for instance, that's really challenging. I mean, I've created it myself, that's really challenging. Like, how do you get the image? How do you get the classes? How do you do the tests? How do you get the score? How do you get them in a ClickFunnels? So I think that's a growing part for us, because everything's changing every single day, more so than just creating the communities. Humans are humans. You create it, they'll show up, they connect, they grow business, but then it's just, there's so much more every day that we can use to improve our business revenue.
That's great. Over to you, Adrian.
So with the obvious benefit of experience that you have after going through all of your growing pains and your struggles and your obvious success, if you were to go back and look on it, what small kind of like golden nuggets of advice would you have for anybody who's looking to build their own community?
Your gut always knows. That is the biggest thing. So I spent so much wasted hours working with people I knew were not a good fit for our brand, trying to make it work. Also, not going with my gut in things that I knew I should have. Like, for instance, we changed our format last year, and I knew that had to be done 2 years ago. I knew it, but nobody else around me could kind of see the buy-in. It was, I had to just move forward in it, and I was right, so the gut always knows. And I think sometimes we are, let's listen to the experts and let's listen to the advisors and let's listen to, but at the end of the day, it's your baby, it's your vision, what's right. And sometimes I make decisions and people don't understand it. And then after they're like, oh, I see it. Like, I see it now, especially when you're talking about a scalable business, you're going to be making decisions that a lot of people, if they haven't launched a business in 150 locations around the world, they don't understand like what you're going through. It's only those that have been in that situation that can say, oh yeah, I see where you're going. You totally have to get rid of that. So that's one big thing, is to always go with your gut. Your intuition always knows. Definitely dissect it. Don't jump without any kind of thought. But really move forward with that. And if you are working with someone that you feel has a bad vibe, or it's not like, it's not fitting, don't force it. It's better to release it than to spend time on energy with a relationship that's just not flowing correctly. And your body knows that too. But those are two huge things that I know we hear them all the time on those memes, like, oh, go with your gut, but really, like, more than anybody else does. You may not be able to verbalize it, but and that's the way you should go.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. There's a lot of social different platforms, isn't there? You got Pinterest, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. How do you stop yourself being spread a bit thin, and how do you deal with effective, promoting it? Because I think you said that social media is a big part of the way you promote the business. How do you deal with all these different platforms?
So we actually have 2 social media associates. We have one on the East Coast and we have one in Europe. And that covers pretty much all of our time brackets. Like it covers, all of the different time zones. So that's one thing. We do have a lot of advisors. We have a calendar. So we have everything very structured and planned out. For myself personally, I'm not the best. I actually met with my social media advisor today. Well, we had this event here in Miami. And I do try to post on there. I think I could do better at that. For my personal Instagram, but for the FemCity one, I think we've got a really good process. We also have people that kind of go in there and post on their community. So that's kind of, that's a lot easier, but we also have a team for that. It wasn't always the case. I mean, I spent a couple of years there. I was the one posting. I was the one doing customer service. I was the one doing, like all the communication. I spent a lot of my time doing that. But when you have more money coming in, again, you have to think of like, where's your superhero talent? Your superhero talent as an entrepreneur is in the vision of the business. The faster you can get out of doing the work that is not your superhero talent, and you can delegate and hire somebody else, do that as soon as possible, because then your energy is pulled back into where it should be in the growth of the business. So it did take me some time. I want to share that because sometimes people are like, well, I can't afford 2 social media, associates. So I did it for the longest time, and that was challenging, but I used time blocks and I scheduled things in, and I used platforms like Crowdfire. I don't know if that's still around, but they do have like scheduling things and hashtags. We have them all in copy paste format. So whatever we're posting, we can kind of just pull it in there and post it there. So there's a way to streamline as much as you can so that you can eventually hire someone to do that.
Well, I'm going to give myself the last question. So, I want to be respectful of your time. And also, you've been suffering from a little bit of bronchitis, so you've been a champion coming on the show now. So where would you like FemCity to be in a year's time? Where would you like it, where you would consider that a successful move forward? Where would you like it to be?
I would like us to have more growth on the West Coast of the United States, and also starting to move over into Europe. We've done a really great job expanding in in Canada, from Toronto all the way across. But I think for me personally, to see us serving around the world will be a very exciting moment for me. And as we start growing, I'd like to start adding more projects onto my plate, perhaps helping women with funding, helping women more closely with advisement. So there's some other projects that I'm working on that are geared towards the same theme. But for FemCity, I'm excited I think we're ready now for that next big batch of growth. And I'm really excited about that.
That's great. Thanks for coming on the podcast and the bonus content. We'll be back next week with another fantastic entrepreneur or expert giving you insight on how to build your online business and get that success you're looking for. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.